Hey everyone, it is about 5 p.m. August 10th. This is the 4-hour chart of Bitcoin, BTC, USD on the Bitfinex exchange. The video is not investment advice. It's done for educational purposes only. The only thing I can say tonight is the Friday massacre across the board. Everything is melting. Everything is unraveling. I talked about how the alts were showing their cards back in here. It was like they were saying that, hey, we just got mauled by the bears, trying to warn Bitcoin, trying to warn the market. And what's unfolded is obviously what we see here. So there's so much selling pressure right now across the board that a 5750 does not hold, and it looks like we're going to test that level probably into tonight, into tomorrow. If that level does not hold, we possibly have support around the 5500 level, and if that level does not hold, we could have maybe an upper support level at about 4400. But things are really going to start to get hairy once we get into those zones, and it's not going to be good. I try to preach as much caution as I could to everybody. I told everyone, the media was getting crazy. I thought there was going to be one more pump just to really drive that knife deep into the back of retail investors. But there wasn't even that. There was just no warning, straight off a cliff. I tried to give the warning on my channel as much as I possibly could. I keep emphasizing caution, stops, etc. I cannot emphasize it enough in this market. The mainstream media, these outlets, these articles that are being disseminated across the internet for Bitcoin and all these crazy figures. You got Tom Lee, John McAfee. You got guys like that are hyping the levels that are unattainable, pure fantasy land. And people are getting absolutely wrecked. And what they're doing is they're sending out the siren call. Like anyone who knows, the Odyssey, that they're sending out the siren call. And as those traders are getting in there, they're essentially dumping into them. Not saying Tom Lee. Tom Lee's probably just a lapdog. John McAfee's probably just a lapdog. Like they probably have very little money in the grand scheme of things to these other big investors out there, or no money at all in there. John McAfee probably does. Tom Lee, I don't know. Not calling them out directly. There are tons of other culprits out there. But again, the euphoria, I talked about this in my prior videos. This is the only market to where people act as if it's guaranteed to make them money. Now, I don't want to get bearish here and be like, oh, it's going to 4,000 or anything like that. I've said multiple times that 4,000 figure is pure fantasy. But we can see the selling pressure here. We can see the alts breaking to new lows across the board. Something is severely wrong in this market, right? The media hyped it all up again right here. They got real crazy. I mean, I was seeing articles on Forbes, on different other financial magazines, CNBC, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. All of them just hammering crap out. And we can see the aftermath of it. So it's not that I think it's going to go down forever. It's not that I think it's the end of the market. All I can say is everyone be as cautious as they possibly can. Something is severely wrong. The alts were showing it ahead of time. And I cannot stress enough, using stops. Do not get caught up in the hype. I think I'm the only YouTube channel probably saying that. It's not about me getting subscribers. I don't care. I do very well for myself. And it's not about trying to corral and deceive people. It's about trying to help people, trying to put the spelling, the writing's on the wall. I'm just trying to scream it across the internet. And it's not that I'm trying to be a bear. It's just unfortunately what we're in, right? No one can deny we're in a bear market. We have lower highs and lower lows for people thinking I'm insane. So there's the only saving grace that Bitcoin has is if we're able to hold this area and base out. But the problem is, I'm going to take the NASDAQ, the dot-com bubble. When the NASDAQ came down from the bubble, it popped back up, built out a base, came down, and then exploded back up. Took 15 years for this to occur, right? No one accounted for the time element. Another thing I've talked about multiple times in my videos. Time. Some of my videos, I think I reiterated that 100 times in them. But The thing is, this is going to be an elongated process. However, if we start slicing through 5,500, like 5,750, and then 5,500, and we start dipping down into 4,000, something else is going on in this market. It has not found a bottom, and the only reason we've spent time in this area is due to the blatant manipulation in price. I've gone over that in tons of my prior videos. I don't want to beat on my subscribers over the head with it, but I've broken it down to where there's literally almost to the T patterns, and on top of that, the timestamps, like within the same 4-hour window, price was doing the same thing it did it back in time. And a lot of this stuff was happening overnight to very early morning Eastern Standard Time in the United States, like 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York time. And it was just happening, the pattern was being created. The clues were there for anyone looking, and the deeper I looked, the more I was starting to see, and then I started seeing the mainstream media hype on, jump on the hype train, and that's why I talked about that hype train forming in this area. I talked about the alt, dropping lower. I'm not trying to say I'm the only one that saw it or that knew something was up, but again, if we start dropping, what I'm saying now is that if we start dropping and cutting through these areas, we're going to have serious problems as we fall to this 4,000 level. Yes, we're probably still going to have relief rallies. There will still be moves. There's still moves to be, there's still money to be made in bear markets playing both sides, and there's still money to be there's money to be made in bull markets playing both sides. Obviously, in a bear market, playing the upside is going to be a lot tougher, and in a bull market is going to be the opposite of that. But there's still money to be made both ways for anyone looking to make the money. It does not mean that Bitcoin is going to zero. What I mean by all of this is that if we start dropping lower, it's going to take even longer for Bitcoin to base out. Even if we start having these wild swings, it's going to take longer because Bitcoin needs to return to normalization. It needs to have a nice base form. That base is going to give it the energy it needs to explode upward and eventually eclipse this area the same way that NASDAQ did to the dot-com bubble, right? But I cannot stress caution enough. I mean, everything is melting across the board. All the alts, Litecoin, Ethereum, EOS, ADA is holding up, IOTA, NEO, Bitcoin Cash is barely holding up as well. So, I just have to emphasize caution. I'm not trying to sit here and scream bloody murder and strike fear into everybody. I'm just trying to say that be patient, let price kind of settle down, mellow out. If you're trying to catch a knife, you need to use stops, but you're also basically getting ready to cut your hands off as well at the same time. So hopefully, if you're going to try to catch a falling knife, you have metal gloves, or you're going to absolutely wreck your account. And what I mean by metal gloves is maybe like a real sound investment strategy to where you're breaking down smaller time frames and using tighter stops to mitigate that risk. But there is it's a very tough task. And the way that everything is melting so fast across the board, something is definitely up with Bitcoin and the altcoins as well too. So, sorry for such like a doom and gloom analysis, but this is just the market that we're in. If we can hold above 5,750, 5,500, then we still have that basing pattern here. But if we start slicing through that 5,750, 5,500 zone like a hot knife through butter, something else is going on. So I know there's people that watch these videos that are short-term traders, long-term traders, etc. I know it's not investment advice, but the only thing I can stress to everybody is please have an investment strategy. Stop losses are absolutely necessary. Even if you want to drive them deep down 5%, 10%, 20%, etc. Have a stop loss in place that is a line in the sand, that is not a mental stop, because you will tell yourself 1,000 reasons why it's great all the way down to zero. I'm not saying that Bitcoin is going to zero, but that's just to, to illustrate what I'm trying to emphasize here for everybody across the board. So Something's up. There's going to be swings. Those swings are going to corral more investors as they do. I mean, dude, we had the Kim Kardashian coin popping out, the whole propaganda there. Like, come on. I mean, the mainstream media was stretching as far as they could to corral as many people as they possibly could right into the slaughter. So again, I've said it in my prior videos. The mainstream media is not there for you. And if you're watching this and you watch the mainstream media, the best thing you'll ever do in your life is shut that crap off. Go read a book. Go do something to better your life than pay attention to that mumbo jumbo, because it is only there to deceive you. And this is proof in the pudding. I mean, there's many other cases I could point out too, but just in Bitcoin, I mean, every single time the media has trying to fluff the sails and blow the wind, it's turned into an absolute disaster. They are perfect at calling tops. I mean, absolutely excellent at doing so. But anyway, so that's the analysis. If Bitcoin can pop back above this zone, which is right around about 6,100, 6,150, then that will be positive, right? If we're able to get above this zone and start moving above and start, we'll at least have a basing pattern. But if we do that and we start seeing these higher highs and higher lows, I can pretty much guarantee you it's a bear flag. That bear flag means more downside in the future. And if you don't believe me, history is guaranteed to repeat itself in this market, as every single bear flag has turned into a disaster. Well, this is different. This is during an upward movement, but on the downside, bear flag, bear flag, bear flag. Every single time there's a bear flag, it ends up in disaster for Bitcoin. So again, if we start to see that, pretty much guarantee you it's going back down, unless something dramatically changes, which I highly doubt that's going to happen. There's just way too much selling pressure right now on Bitcoin for anything to change that quickly, unless we got some magical reversal bar like that, which I highly doubt is anywhere in this market. That's like unicorns, aliens riding unicorns coming down to buy Bitcoin. If that happens, then we're going to see a magical reversal in Bitcoin. But if not, and everything in the real world stays real, then then we're just going to continue to be hammered down in this range. And then the big question is, do we hold this area? If not, then we have much lower to go. So again, emphasize caution. If you guys like the video, you like the content, please like, comment, subscribe, follow. I know it's not so much talking about real price points at this level. Just the overall market is melting so fast that honestly, trying to come up with like an exact bottom at this level, and I'm telling you, like from experience and from where I'm currently at as well, even myself investing, it's just too tough. Like there's too much selling pressure. Bitcoin is slicing through every support level time and time again. It's just better to wait patiently, wait for something that you recognize, and then take advantage of that. Don't go hastily into this, because there's a high probability you're going to chop your hands off. I made attempts to try to play the wiggles on this, and I used tight stops. I got stopped out a few different times, and that was it. I gave up. I said, you know what? It's not working. It keeps falling. And that's exactly what Bitcoin continued to do. It started to drop even further. I think I gave up somewhere around in this area, and I was like, I'm done with it. And then it just dropped down even further. So again, it's due for a relief rally, but every single time it's tried to relieve some of the selling pressure, more selling pressure gets put on it. So it definitely looks like a Friday massacre. The question is, do we hold above 57.50? If not, again, we have much further to drop. So if you're looking for something more in detail, like where I cover other cryptocurrency charts, stock market, commodities, and some Forex as well too, because some of those go hand in hand, I do have my subscription service over at geometriccharts.com. It's just a monthly fee, no contracts, nothing like that. But I do morning and night videos every single day, and then also upload charts as well for each one of those. And again, most of the cryptos I talked about, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, EOS, ADA, IOTA, I think I said NEO, Bitcoin Cash as well. I cover, pretty big Ripple. I cover a pretty big spectrum of them, and then that kind of determines that market. Mainly, a lot of these things follow Bitcoin, and then sometimes the alts can kind of lead the way, and that's exactly what they do. Every time it's to the downside, the alts do lead the way. They can lead the way to the upside as well too, and I do like to see the alts leading the way better than Bitcoin, because when Bitcoin leads the way, there's typically a big problem in the market, and we obviously saw that just unfold recently over the past about a week and a half, 2 weeks almost. So I thank everybody for their time, everybody for their support. Sorry for elongating the video. I try to contain it all and talk as fast as I can, but there's so much to talk about in these videos to just kind of bring everybody up to speed, on what I perceive in this market. I'm not the only one. What I say is not like, God's word over the market to where what James says has to go. But the only thing I can stress, and the one thing I've been stressing to everybody, is caution, using stops, and that something was severely wrong in the market, and now we're seeing a complete meltdown across the board. So I cannot stress it enough. But thank you for your time, thank you for your support. Hope everybody has a great day, great night, great weekend. I'll talk to everybody on Monday.